Hello everybody, welcome to day 2 of the Spring into Simple Decluttering Challenge. Before we get started, I'll just give people a minute to join and make sure that things are up and running on my end. And then we'll get started with today's task, talking about today's task and some tips to help you be more successful. All right, so it looks like we're good to go here. Okay, so before we begin, I just wanted to mention again, I mentioned it yesterday, if you're not getting the emails, like the emails are where you get the majority of the information that tells you the day's decluttering task and gives you lots of tips and tricks to be successful at it. If you're not getting those emails, the first thing you can do is search your inbox for the phrase Spring into Simple. I put that in the subject line of all of the emails for the challenge. So that's the first thing you can do. You can check your junk or spam folder if you're not getting them. If you still can't find them, just reach out to me. You can leave a comment in the Facebook group or email me. My email is melissa@simplelionheartlife.com, and I will make sure you get those. And if you joined late, if today is your first day joining and you didn't get day 1's email, you can also just let me know and I can always resend those. So yeah, if there's any issues with the emails, just let me know. So moving on to today's decluttering task. Today we're working on surface clutter. So this is another great way to build your momentum, your confidence to keep going, and your motivation to keep going, because this is another good way to get a decluttering win. Make some quick decluttering progress, see the results right away, and really show yourself you can do this. So for today we're working on flat surfaces, and I talk about this a lot, but flat surfaces can become magnets for clutter. Clutter just seems to be attracted to those flat surfaces in our homes. It just seems to pile up on those spaces. So when that happens, it adds a lot of visual clutter to our space. It makes the space look messy. It makes it feel kind of chaotic and overwhelming. And it really doesn't do much for us. And the thing about clutter on flat surfaces is that clutter seems to attract more clutter. So once a few items come to rest on a flat surface, it's almost like it gives our brains permission to put more on that flat surface. And then before we know it, we have a whole bunch of stuff piling up on that surface. And it can be a big job to deal with. It can make the space look really messy. And it's not really conducive to a peaceful, calm, clutter-free home. So when we do clear the surface clutter, it can change not only the way the space looks, but also the way it feels and, of course, the way it functions. It functions a lot better when we have our clear surfaces open and available to use rather than covered in clutter. Particularly spaces like our kitchen counters, our bathroom counters, those kinds of things. When they're clear and clutter-free, they're a lot more functional. They work better, they're easier to use, they're easier to clean up, all of those things. So for today's task, what I want you to do is pick one flat surface. We'll start with one flat surface. And I recommend choosing a space where clutter tends to pile up or where clutter tends to collect, or a space that kind of stresses you out and always has a bit of clutter on it. We're going to tackle that space. So if you're not exactly sure where you want to work, some great ideas of just places that tend to be cluttered in a lot of homes, or where clutter tends to kind of build up throughout the day, are things like kitchen counters, dining room table. If you have an entryway table, that can be a big clutter magnet. Coffee table or end tables in your living space, your bathroom counter, your bedside table, your desk. Those are all spaces that you might want to tackle. So pick one that tends to be kind of a hot spot for clutter for you, or a pain point in your life. Pick that spot, and today we're going to work on clearing it off. So here's how we do that. I like to start tackling surface clutter by clearing the surface off completely, giving myself a complete blank slate to start with. And from there, look at the stuff you've cleared off. First of all, get rid of anything you no longer need. Throw out the garbage, add anything you don't need to your donation box in your holding zone. Just get rid of what you don't need first. Next, put things away where they belong. If there's stuff that's piled up on that surface that doesn't belong there, take this time to put it away where it belongs. And then finally, reassess what you keep on your surface on a regular basis. Can you simplify it a little bit more? Could you keep those items somewhere else? Could you keep them, in a drawer or cupboard rather than on the surface itself? So really reassess, do you need all of that stuff on the surface? Keeping in mind that stuff attracts more stuff. So even the stuff you intentionally leave out on a surface, like decorative items or, a canister full of utensils or a toaster or your skincare products or the book you're reading on your bedside table, all of those things, stuff attracts more stuff. So really be intentional about what you leave off. Keeping the surface as clear as you can is a great way just to reduce the amount of stuff that seems to be attracted to that surface. So really assess, can you simplify the surface more? Can you find alternative homes for the stuff you usually keep out on those surfaces? So that's today's challenge. And then from there, once you clear off your surface, you've gotten rid of the clutter, you've simplified it, it looks beautiful, you're so happy with the results. The goal of this challenge then is to work on keeping it clear throughout the challenge. Start to build the habit of keeping that surface clutter free. This could mean once a day or twice a day, doing a quick pass over that surface and clearing off any clutter that's piled up, dealing with items that are sitting on it, putting stuff away, building the habit of keeping that surface clear. Of course, if this goes really easily and you have time to work on another surface, you can pick another surface today. Do as much as you can in the time you have. If you have time for one surface, that's awesome. If you have time for more surfaces, great, go for it. That's fantastic. So start with the one surface, the real hot spot in your house. Do that surface first, and then see where you can go from there. I also encourage you, as you're going through the items, putting stuff away where it belongs or getting rid of stuff or simplifying the surface, also pay attention to what kinds of stuff, what kind of clutter you're dealing with on that surface. Because this is a time to do a little bit of problem solving too. Like maybe could you come up with a better system to deal with that clutter? Could you notice maybe on your kitchen counter there tends to be a lot of paper clutter. That's where the mail and school papers and Post-it notes and reminders and all of that stuff, maybe that's piling up on your kitchen counter. Could you come up with a better system to deal with paper clutter? Maybe it's something as simple as like a file hanging on the wall or a basket on your kitchen counter to at least contain all of the paper in one spot so it's not floating around cluttering up the entire kitchen counter. If you notice your entryway is constantly cluttered with stuff, could you come up with maybe a basket to put your gloves and hats and purses when you get in, or hooks for keys, or a place to hang your purse so that it has a home and a place to live rather than just floating around the surfaces in your entryway. So this is also a great time to do that problem solving, to see, can you come up with better systems for the items that tend to clutter those flat surfaces to make it easier to manage, to keep it clutter-free, make it easier to keep it clutter-free, just make it function better as a whole. So just really, it's a good time to just pay attention. Just notice what clutter piles up and start problem solving that clutter. So that's today's task. We're working on the surface clutter today. Keep sharing in the group what you're working on. Let us see, your beautifully clear surfaces when you're done. Show us your progress, your results. I'd love to see that, and it's inspiring for everyone else too. So yeah, that's today's task. If you have any questions, you can leave them in the comments below and I'll get back to them throughout the day. If you're having any issues with the emails, of course, reach out to me. And I will see you back here tomorrow for our next decluttering task. And I will be going live in the group again at 9:30 Mountain Standard Time. It's not too late to invite friends to join the challenge. If you know of someone who could benefit from the challenge, they can still join in. We can always catch them up with the emails, or they can just start where we are now. So yeah, if there's anyone you can think of who might benefit, tell them about the challenge, get them signed up, have them start decluttering with you, and I will see you back here tomorrow. So happy decluttering. I can't wait to see those clear surfaces you're working on. Take care, everybody, and we'll talk to you tomorrow.